Is this going to turn into a BMW whitewash, or will Alfa look stronger in race trim than on the single qualifying laps? Well, let's take a look at the Brno track. This modern facility opened in the mid-90s, 5.4 kilometres, as opposed to the 14 and then 10 kilometre street racing circuit that the European touring cars used to race on through the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. And one of the winningest drivers here, the Swede Ulf Granberg. Enzo Calderari, who's racing this weekend in the GT Championship, won in the World Touring Car Championship in an M3 in 1987. Tom Walkinshaw 3 years in a row winning in the European Touring Car Championship, mid-80s in the Jaguar XJS, an awesome device over the bumps, no question about it. Well, those cars are a long way from where we are now with the modern format of the European Touring Car Championship. And although the times, as you can see on the screen, are way out of whack, courtesy of a slightly late, if dramatic, finish to the Moto Grand Prix, we will bring you the highlights of race 1 before we go live to the grid for race 2 here. So the spectators, Robin Liddell, enjoying conditions that most British fans can only dream about here at Brno. It's absolutely baking, but that's going to be great for them. Pretty tough for the drivers though in these closed cars.
There's nobody in front of you in this grid. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. I think it's just my first pole position and I hope this year, and I'm quite happy to put it in the fourth race. So I don't know. We will see what happens.
Thank you.
So Antonio Garcia, his first pole position. Sorry to cut you off right as you were about to say something, Robin, but that came at us rather by surprise. So it is going to be pretty tough work, I should think. Even in these short races, it's going to be hot enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Antonio lining up on the front row of the grid there alongside Dirk Muller, and Andy Prio from the UK tucked in behind him. So just as the lights go to green now and they're away.
So the BMWs always start better, which means that the Alfa Romeos behind are going to struggle away from the line. BMW's first 4 in qualifying, and we may well see a couple more coming up, with Heisman getting a good start from row 6 of the grid. And he's just behind Hodi Hene and the Alfa Romeos. So you can see the red Alfas. There's Hene, got away well. There's Heisman, and he's in front of Gabriele Tarquini as we join Tarquini. On the right-hand side of the dash, see below his name it says 40. That's how much extra weight he's carrying, 40 kilos, the maximum penalty, courtesy of winning both races last time out at Enna. And now we're on board with Jörg Muller as his teammate and compatriot and namesake Dirk leads the race away from the front of the grid. Well, in fact, he's not. There's Garcia. So Garcia managing to hold on through the first couple of corners. Dirk Muller had a lunge at him off the grid, but looks like the BMWs are fairly much in control here. 5 white cars leading the field, Robin.
Yeah, Dirk Muller tucked right up behind Garcia there, but the pair of them have actually streaked away. You can see Dirk working the tyres very hard there on getting a little bit of oversteer, but they've certainly streaked away from the other leading group.
Well, of course, he'll be very keen to try and make a move, because we heard him say in the morning warm-up that he had kept 1 set of new tyres after qualifying. He'd only used 1 set, so he's got a brand new set of tyres for each of the 2 races here, and the first 2 or 3 laps are when they're going to give of their best. Andy Prio in third, being monstered by Giovanardi, but there behind Rickard Rydell has gone off a long way off onto the grass, and that's broken right suspension, and that is shades of where he got punted off by Giovanardi in the first race last year. But just a couple of corners earlier, it was just up the hill here, he got alongside Giovanardi around the right-hander here, and then dived inside into the left-hander here. Just as is happening to Andy Prio right in front of us, Giovanardi came off the curbs and punted Rydell into a spin. So Andy Prio then, that was last year, Andy Prio dropping down the order and battling hard now with Duncan Heisman. There's something drastically wrong with Prio's car. Heisman going down the inside out, breaks himself, but Andy's dropped a long way back there, Robin. He was third, and now he's, what, 6th or 7th?
Well, Andy got challenged very hard from Jörg Muller there, and then Giovanardi slipped by as well. So I think Andy was making a defensive move in desperation there from the Dutch car, because really he's lost 3 places in the space of as many corners corner, so a bit disappointing for him at the moment.
So Garcia leads Dirk Muller, Giovanardi third, Larini the best of the Alphas in fourth, Tarquini sixth behind Jörg Muller, Prio down to seventh, and ahead of the best of the independents, Alessandro Balzan again going very strongly. Sort of suspect that his Alpha might be a bit more Alpha than some of the others in the independents field. We'll be back in just a second as the race continues here at Brno.
Live with KW, the sports shock absorbers specialist.
Back at Brno, first race of the European Touring Car Championship here in round 4 of the LG Super Racing weekends, and it's a BMW fest at the moment with Antonio Garcia, the poleman, leading from Dirk Muller. In third place, Fabrizio Giovanardi, meaning the Ravaglia cars are first and third. The best of the Schnitzer operation there. We're on board now with Dirk Muller, looking down the inside line into the first corner. Robin Liddell, all he's got to do is hold his nerve here, and he should take the lead.
Yeah, he's managed to do that. You could hear he was on the rev limiter there. He got in the toe and managed to pull up alongside Garcia, but he was actually touching the limiter as they entered the first corner. But he's pulled a nice clean manoeuvre, and he seems to be able to hold that at the moment.
So Garcia and Giovanardi, the teammates, second and third. We're on board now with Jörg Muller. Right in front of us then Nicola Larini. And Larini in the Alpha. And Jörg Muller now with, 30 kilos of weight penalty still.
Yeah, and throwing his hand up in frustration there because he knows he's not able to stay with him on the straights.
Well, Larini has also got weight penalty in number 3 car, just 10 kilos though. And it doesn't seem like an awful lot, but the drivers always assure you that 10, 20, 30 kilos makes a big difference to the way the car handles. In Jörg Muller's favour, of course, is the longer the race progresses, the worse the front tyres on the Alpha will be. And although the Alpha's still strong in a straight line, this is here we go. This is a track with a lot of overtaking places, and you can see there Jörg Muller is right over the back of the Alfa Romeo under braking. Now let's have a look here. If he gets a good run exiting here, the exit is critical because you can then try and take a look up the inside, get alongside, but he just didn't have the run on him. As they get off the curbs there though, let's see if he starts to pull out down into the next corner. He's very close, and so too behind, look, Tarquini being monstered now by Andy Prio, who's recovered from his first lap pushing and shoving, and Tarquini locking the wheels under braking. Front end of that car is really suffering.
Here we go, two great battles going here between the Alphas and the BMWs respectively. You could see Tarquini just lock the inside front wheel, causing the car to run a wee bit wide, and it looks like Muller's actually made that move now. So yeah, that's good for him. He obviously tucked up the inside just out of shot there.
Yeah, just as we were watching Tarquini being threatened, he got past Larini in front. So it's Muller, Larini, Tarquini and Prio behind the 3 BMWs, or the other 3 BMWs on board now with Nicola Larini. And if I were Jörg Muller, I'd want to get out of there fairly quick before Larini starts tap and win tactics.
It's quite interesting actually on the in-car. You can hear the Alpha engine's much less stressed than the BMW, which is revving much harder, but he's gone for the big switchback and he looks like he's got up the inside of him.
There'll be an awful lot of handwork through there. You could see as we cut to the onboard shot how sideways the car was as he threw it in, and that's a real Valentino Rossi outbraking manoeuvre there, pitch it in sideways, but it worked for him, I have to say. However, stuff like that is going to kill his tyres.
And well, it was a lovely move which he held on to, but you can see Jörg there challenging again, and it's interesting to watch the slight difference in technique in their line that they take. The BMW turning that little bit later, you can see it, which gives him a straighter exit, and he's able to exit the corner slightly better. But these two are going to be going at it hammer and tongs for the rest of this race by the looks of things.
Well, part of that, of course, is the nature of the car, because if he turns in late, gets a much sharper turn in, starts the back moving around, as he hits the gas, he can just control that oversteer. The big problem with the Alpha is that if you hit the throttle too early, it's just an understeer switch, and the more you hit the throttle, the further away from the apex you wash out of the corner, and that's really bad news. Larini under pressure again from Jörg, down the inside. Now he cuts back to the outside. Is there a chance here? So close you can almost feel it. Just the tiniest little rub, I think, between the two of them, but no monkey business. Jörg Muller is really using all the track, though, to try and get past Nicola Larini. Tarquini now having a look at him, and here's the danger being stuck behind Larini, because Tarquini, I think, is quicker than Larini.
Of course, this is what's happening. Larini's effectively holding up Muller, and that's allowing the other two behind to get on the back. So what we've got now is a four-way battle for second, which is fantastic.
It absolutely is. Well, it's the lead of the second group. There's 3 BMWs ahead of them. So, whoa, and there's Larini. He's off. big tank slapper, pushed it too hard, and he's still holding on to it, but oh, across the nose of Jörg Müller. Well, Larini nearly went off on his own there, somehow managed to keep it back on, but Jörg Müller just keep his foot buried. Well, the option there, Robin, is to stand on the brakes with 3 cars right up behind you and have a 4-car shunt, or try and drive your way through it. Both of them were hard on the gas, and in the end, Larini, well, his car was just pivoted across the nose of Müller's car, and that's just the way it happens, I'm afraid. Müller now, though, in trouble, being challenged. He's been passed by Prio and by Tarquini. Watch Larini now here lose it comprehensively. Yes. Big tank slapper. Müller's going to the inside to try and avoid the shunt. Both of them on the gas. Tarquini inside of him, so Müller didn't have much racing room there either. And look how far they got shoved across there.
I'd just like to speculate that potentially he got a wee tap there from Müller. It's not maybe fair to say that at this stage without seeing on the in-car, but I think perhaps he just gave him a wee tap just as he was about to change direction, and that allowed him to get his nose alongside, because you could see Larini came back across the right-hand side to defend very hard, so possibly there was just a wee bit of argy-bargy going on there out of shot.
Oh, I'm not sure Larini came across to defend. I think the car threw him across the road when he turned into the left-hand element, and the back end was so far off the ground, I think it was gone from there on in. He caught the first swing of the pendulum, but after that, I think a bit of a passenger. But there may well have been contact going in that upset that. Somebody's going skating off into the gravel near a camera, not near this camera though. And there is Alessandro Balzan ahead of Jörg Müller. So Jörg Müller between the 2 independent front runners. Balzan in front of him, and astern he has got the Dutchman Patrick Heisman. Well, now the Schnitzer BMW, unless it's been damaged, should make fairly short work of Balzan, weight penalty or no. And as Balzan locks up the brakes, then Jörg drops down the inside and trying to go through the same opening. You can see right behind him Patrick Heisman, the white car with the red surrounds to the upper superstructure, all over the back of Balzan. Okay, so Jörg Müller then panic over and heading off after Andy Prio. They are 4th and 5th respectively. We'll be back.
With LG Digitally Yours.
Back with round 7 of the FIA European Touring Car Championship, and it's been a dramatic race so far here at Brno. Now looking further back into the field, and there's Jorge Canet in the yellow Seat Toledo Sport, and he is chasing Roberto Colciago. Colciago in the Nord Auto team, Auto Delta team Alfa Romeo, with 30 kilos of weight penalty. Colciago's been having a good strong season so far and paying for it now in excess ballast. Heaviest weighted car in the field is his teammate Gabriele Tarquini, and here we see coming on to the last lap Dirk Müller leading the race, Fabrizio Giovanardi in 2nd place. I beg your pardon, not in 2nd place. Antonio Garcia in 2nd place, Fabrizio Giovanardi in 3rd place. So it's a Schnitzer BMW in the lead. 2nd and 3rd, the 2 Ravaglia BMWs. BMW GB entry of Andy Prio in 4th place, back to the head of that little chasing pack. Jörg Müller 5th for the Schnitzer BMW. Patrick Heisman 6th and best of the independents in his Carli Motorsport BMW. Alessandro Balzan 7th place in his Alfa Romeo. And Gabriele Tarquini, the factory Alfa championship points leader, or joint championship points leader, is in 8th position with all his weight. But that does mean that he will start race 2 from pole position, because the top 8 positions are reversed on the grid from race 1's result to form the starting lineup of race 2. So it's kind of win a few, lose a few in this situation. Dirk Müller will start 8th, and with only a couple of Alfa Romeos in the 6 cars ahead of him, Robin, it's going to be a little hard to use the BMW starting advantage to carve his way through right from the beginning of the race.
Yeah, you could see how tightly contested that was for the lead, so those guys were extremely close on lap time, but the race to watch was really the race behind that for 3rd place, and we saw that interesting battle, but slight disagreement between us here in the commentary booth as to what was the cause of it, but I actually think that I think Larini got mullered, to put it in one description, but we'll see what happens on the outcome. But certainly going to be a very tight race again, and difficult to pass and make up considerable places in the race.
Well, it's great to see that the cars with 2 distinct handling packages and setups actually work pretty much level. I think BMW has a little bit of an advantage here, as you can see from qualifying. First 4 in qualifying, first 5 in the race are BMWs, and they're the battle for 4th place. For 3rd place, in fact, Andy Prio just a shade behind Antonio Garcia for 3rd place, so a very good recovery drive from him. And he really, in fact, behind Giovanardi, he really is having a very strong season indeed in that BMW GB car. The boys from Bracknell are being done very proud indeed. But it was Dirk Muller who won from poleman Garcia, so a reversal of their qualifying fortunes. Giovanardi 3rd, Prio 4th, and again a reversal of their positions on the grid, because Andy qualified ahead of Gio. And then in 5th position behind them we had Jörg Muller, Patrick Heisman, Gabriele Tarquini and Alessandro Balzan. So Tarquini getting past Balzan, so it'll be Balzan and Tarquini on the front row of the grid for race 2, then Heisman and Muller on row 2, Prio and Giovanardi on row 3, Garcia and Muller on row 4. That's the top 8. Those, of course, are the point scorers as well. Now Balzan and Heisman battling for the lead of the Independence Trophy, and the rest of them for the overall championship. We'll be back with race 2 from Brno in just a second. Stay with us, please.